Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy September. This is the 78 Grand Marquis two-door hardtop I was showing you the striker bolt replacement on. I told you we'd talk about it. And I waited till today because today is September 2nd. I bought this car September 2nd, 1994. So as of today, I've had this car 28 years. And something else showed up last weekend, the 79 Continental Collector Series with the factory CB and the moonroof showed up, so we're going to wind up talking about that too. But let's talk about the Mercury today. Yeah, I remember this date. It always stuck in my head because it's my mom's birthday and I wasn't around that day. Probably like the first time I hadn't seen her on her birthday in all that time. I was 26 years old when I bought this car. It showed up in the Southern Illinois Trader. I used to always buy one when I was going to work at the plastics bottle plant. I think they came out once a week. I'd always stop and grab it, have something to look at work, and there it was, $2,650. So I had to go look at it. It was down around Evansville, Indiana. And at the time, it did not have, well, remember I told you guys I like options, and the more that you watch my videos, you're going to find that out. It did not have the cornering lamps. It did not have the deep dish aluminum wheels. It did not have the illuminated entry. I added all that stuff, but anyway, the car had 68,000 miles on it. I think it's got, I don't know, 96 or 98,000 now. We'll see when we get in it. So I haven't driven it a whole lot. I've kept it out of all the winter weather and tried my best not to even have it in rain. I did replace this trunk lock cover with the new old stock one because these either just completely fade out or altogether the whole plastic just falls off and it's gone. So I found one of them a long time ago, and God, believe it or not, I think I paid around 300 bucks for that thing. And I bought another one since then just to have an extra. So I do believe it's been painted on a little bit on the front, like maybe it's been hit. From the front of the doors back, it's clearly all original paint. The top is all original. Palomino grain, I think they called that. I grew up in a, well, I didn't really grow up in it, I guess I'd say, but my dad's brother and my great uncles always had these, and mom and dad wound up getting one in a four-door. So actually I got my license in that car, a four-door 78. It was a standard Marquis, it wasn't a Grand. But the first thing I did when I got it was had the windows tinted. Just because, number one, I think it looks cool. Number two, it really saves that red interior. A lot of people don't like it, but it's my car, so it probably always will be till I'm gone. This car did not have a power seat on either side when I got it. It did have power windows, which was standard on the Grand Marquis and the Marquis Brougham. Power locks it had. Power locks wasn't standard, but this car did have it. All the Grand Marquis came standard with leather. This car was ordered with the, I believe it was a no-cost option, media velour, they called it, which I kind of like. But yeah, I added the power seat on both sides. I added the delayed windshield wipers. It did have rear window defrost. It did have tilt and cruise and the AM/FM 8-track. It's the 400 FMX transmission. A lot of people put the 400 down. I personally do not have a problem with it. It's a 460 faster, stronger, yes, but I'm not drag racing. There's a power seat on this side. This is probably the only 78 Mercury you'll see with a 4-gang window switch there. We're going to talk about that in a bit. It's starting to spit rain. Just your basic 1968 or 78 engine compartment. I probably don't keep it as clean as I should, but it doesn't really ever go anywhere. This is really starting to just crumble, and I can't find one. No one can find one. I wish someone would make these. Start it up for you. It runs really good. You hear the automatic seat back releases there. Hear that? That came with, I believe, the light group. It does have dual exhaust, glass packs. A lot of people's going to frown at that too, but it's quiet going down the road in the car. You don't hear it. You can blame my dad. He raised me on them. I did have the air conditioner changed over to R134. And to me, it still blows ice cold, especially with the tinted windows. It's a lot cooler in there. Runs really good. Power antenna works. Now, it always drove me crazy on these cars. In mid-1975, they made these quarter windows fixed, and they didn't function any longer. Turn this off. They made them what they called, the quarter windows became fixed. So there was no button, no crank, no nothing back there. They were just there. It always drove me nuts. So I found, I think it was a 74, could have been a 73 in the junkyard, and I took everything out of a 73 and added it. And then later, when I added the illuminated entry, I realized illuminated entry wasn't available till 1977, so this door harness that I took out of that 73 or 4 wasn't wired for illuminated entry. So then that left me looking for a door harness with illuminated entry from 77 or 78, and I had to change it again, but I did find one. So let's see, we'll go with this one. There we go. Get that window down, and that side. But I added the buttons in the back too, so they function just like had it been ordered that way. It's funny, when I took this panel off to do that, it still had a little perforated square right there to show you where to punch out for the switch. They were still using that same cardboard backing. The holes were not there, but the mold, the body was stamped the exact same way. So I just ran back to the junkyard and I measured all the holes and made me a stencil and drilled the holes. And really the glass was the same glass they were using, but instead of being riveted to a track, it was riveted to a bracket that would just bolted it in there and made it fixed. So I just changed it and put the track on the bottom of the original glass, and there you have it. All the windows on this car has always been extremely fast. Clock keeps perfect time. it doesn't lose a minute. Big deep trunk. We used to sneak into the drive-in and my parents, stacked on top of each other. This car doesn't really have any rust to speak of on it. I'm going to take a quick ride and get back because it's starting to spit rain. It'll wipe off pretty easy though. Okay, I was off a little. It's 97,318 miles. Here is the original ad that was in the shopper. I cut it out and kept it, never got rid of it. See, it's got the Marquis hubcaps or wheel cover, sorry, and no cornering lamps. This is just an old Polaroid that the old guy gave me of it when I bought it. So I just, again, made the changes. I make them how I like them. This skull's been hanging on there ever since I got it because a lot of my friends named this car Death just because of the way it looks. There's the back seat a little better. Start her up. Radio still works really good. The 8-track does not. I do have a quadrasonic 8-track that does work perfect that I could put in here, but honestly, whoever drives it, really. I got the highway done, pretty much, up here. Take a little drive. Let's hope it doesn't start raining any more than it is. I disagree with my buddy Adam of Rare Classic Cars, the wood grain. He doesn't like the wood grain in these cars. He likes the 73, 74 better. And it's not that I dislike the wood grain in the 73, 74 better, but honestly, I really don't. I don't hate this like he does. Nice smooth highway they got us here now. It was getting pretty rough. In the last video where I drove my gray truck, I believe they had this all ground off. It is raining more than I would rather it be. Pretty smooth for 70 mile an hour there. It's almost 75. Again, doesn't have a shake or shimmy in it. passenger side door lock just quit working this summer, so we still have to do a video on repairing that. I do have a door lock solenoid. I'm sure that's what it is. We will test it before we take the door panel off. I'll show you how to do that. Again, it's not a 460, but I just don't have a problem with these 400s. They were really good engines. It's got plenty of pickup. That's nothing to complain about. I mean, you're not going to have any trouble passing anyone. I drove this car to Florida. I believe I took it to, it was Pensacola, Florida, not long after I had it, so it's probably around 1995. It's probably the farthest I've taken it. I did put new wheel cylinders in the back this summer too. I had never touched them in all these years that I had it. One was leaking and one was locked up. Yeah, we've got some discussion to do on that white collector series there. That car's got the original window sticker with it, and if you get on the inflation calculator, it will tell you that it would have been like a $69,000 car in today's money. Yeah, see this? That door lock there is just dead, and this one's working. So I'm going to roll these windows down, walk around it. With the windows down so you can get the look of a hardtop. Now I'm going to pause it and get this thing put away before it gets any more spotted up. I will be right back. All right, it's back in the shed with a whole lot of other stuff, but this is where this one pretty much spends its time. I was going to talk to you guys a little bit about these options. Like when it comes to adding the illuminated entry, it's not a big deal. You don't really alter anything. When they started offering that in the Fords in '77, everything was wired for it. Every plug's there. As a matter of fact, if you got power windows in your car, everything was wired there for illuminated entry in case you got it. The worst part about adding illuminated entry is this has an extra little cutout that you have to, and I just found a car with illuminated entry and held me a stencil behind it and traced it, and then that's how much I knew to cut to add this, and then I just completely dabbed it in primer and paint so it's covered. It's probably been in there, I don't know, 15 years. Let's see here. We'll lock the door. Now, lift up on it. See, little halo lights up. Your dome lights come on until they time out, or until you turn the key on. See, then that kills it. So, clearly I'm an option freak. The power seats. All you got to do is add the circuit breaker and the fuse box. The wires are already up there under the dash. You just run the wire. There it is. Plug it in. Ground it to the floor. It's got a little dimple to show you right where to drill. Delayed windshield wipers. One of the most easy things you can add to one of these cars if it doesn't have it. All you do, pull this little knob off. It's got a clip behind it. Pull the headlight switch out. You reach up around there, push the button, pull this out. Spin this little bezel off. The wood grain comes off. As long as you've got a delayed windshield wiper switch, all you do is unplug the original plug, and it's got this little electronic governor box that gets bolted right up there. The holes are there for it, and it plugs right between the dash harness and a delayed windshield wiper switch. There's absolutely nothing to it. Then you just get a wood grain piece right there that's got intermittent on it, and it's done. It's really not that hard adding these options. Back then especially, Ford made it to where if it was ordered with it, the plug was there when it was going down the line. It was plugged in. Now let's argue with Adam a little bit more about this wood grain. What do you guys think? I don't hate it. See this wood grain here, it's got the straight grain, kind of like what Adam likes in the 73, 74s. And they carried that throughout all this, but in the centers, they put the, what you'd call, I guess, like a burled walnut. And then it went all the way over above the glove box. Same here in this part. Got the straight grain here, some burled walnut in here. And same with this piece over here. Two different kinds of wood. Carries over into the door panels. Carries on into the back. I don't know. Put in the comments, please. Tell me what you guys think. Do you hate this wood grain as bad as Adam does? Let's give him a hard time. What else? The cornering lamps. Of course, you know the wheels were nothing to change. You do have to change out the complete headlight harness to add cornering lamps. Well, from the firewall out. And you know, this just has like a blank over it, like a piece of chrome. But when you take that off, it's open, and it's all there for this corner lamp assembly. You take it off another car, you get all the original nuts and bolts, and you see how it all works. I did find these new old stock as well, though, so I didn't have to use used ones. The strangest thing about this, I never understood. I hope you guys can see it. Let's see. This that's not it. Right here. This plug right here, this comes out of the headlight harness after it comes through the firewall and plugs in down there. It comes out right here and it goes over, and you have to drill, I think it's like a 1-inch hole saw right here. And the dimple was there to show you where to drill. And then you stick this grommet and you go back through the firewall, and your cornering lamp relays fasten up there on the steering wheel support, just together with one bolt. They're self-grounding. And I never understood why they didn't split this off inside the vehicle instead of out here to where you have to go back in. Why didn't you just split it off on the inside before it came through the firewall, the headlight harness? That still is puzzling, but I did it exactly like Ford did it. And honestly, without a Marty report, no one would ever know this car didn't come with cornering lamps. I like options. So that's it. The 78 Grand Marquis that I bought 28 years ago today. Hope you guys like it. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned. We've still got a 68 Ford LTD 428 that we got to talk about. And like I said, that collector series showed up last weekend. We got a 21 Model T sitting here with the original bill of sale. Covered up right there, we've got a 68 Mercury Park Lane convertible that needs restored, but it's still cool. I don't know if we'll talk about that Mercury over there or not. We might. It's got a moonroof. Still got this 68 XL to talk about. GT Fastback. So, again, please like the video and put in the comments whatever you think. And please stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you watching. Till next time. See ya. Sorry, there's one more thing. I always forget something in my videos. I gotta come back here and add something. Sorry about that. But I mentioned my mom and dad's standard Marquis that they had. I got my license in. I think I was probably, I'd say 19 years old. And my dad came home from work. And that car, I had it out in the yard. And I had all the seats and the carpet and the door panels and everything laying out in the grass. Dad come home and saw that, and he said, "What in the F are you doing?" And I said, "I've been to the junkyard. I've got all the power windows and door locks and the door panels and the seats and everything out of a Brougham. I'm going to put the Brougham interior in here and load this car up." And he said, "You sure as hell better know how to put that son of a bitch back together." And I did, and he loved it. They drove that car till a hailstorm beat the shit out of it in 1989, and I thought he'd learned his lesson until he ordered a 93 Bronco XLT and didn't get power windows and locks. I left it alone. He didn't keep it that long. He turned around and ordered a 96 F-150 new, but I think he knows now he don't buy vehicles that isn't loaded anymore. So I took care of that. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.